Welcome to 5 Pints In, the show where we're literally 5 pints in. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So, today's guest, we've got on a very close friend of Ian's here. He played for Nuneaton, Northampton.
Not that close.
Man City, of course, West Ham, and Reading, amongst some other clubs here. We're going to have some great stories for you. He's calling in all the way from Norway. We've got Trevor Morley. How you doing, Trev?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, thank you. Do you want me to speak in English or Norwegian?
Either way.
It sounds the same coming from you anyway.
We'll do a second episode in Norwegian.
Jeg kan snakke litt norsk hvis du vil.
So Trevor's
only
only
5 pints in, so only 5 minutes.
Yeah, so Trev, that answers my question then. We have to ask everyone on here, are you 5 pints in? And if so, what are you drinking?
Well, you know what? I was hoping you wasn't going to ask me that question because I had a beer and I only had 2 beers and you said 5 pints in, so I'm actually drinking rosé wine, which is a bit gay. So,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Well, actually, I wanted to start the show by just saying that, when you put Ian Bishop and Trevor Morley together, a lot of people think we were lovers, and
don't put us together, Trev. You can't say put us together.
Well, that's what they did, and I would like to say you've got 2 beautiful boys there, and I'm sure they would love to know the truth. I mean, maybe they think it's fun to have a gay father, or it's cool. I don't know. But what I will say is that, the songs they used to sing, "Who's up Morley's arse, who's up Morley's arse, Ian Bishop is." I was very offended. I was offended by that because that made me be the woman. And I could never understand why it wasn't "Who's up Bishop's arse," because he had long hair, beautiful long girly hair all the way down his back. So, but the point is, I'm not going to actually reveal the truth about whether we were lovers or not. I'm going to leave that to the end of the show, so hopefully people will keep listening and find out the truth at the end.
Well, you're trying to do like they do on the telly where they save the best bit, Like,
I'm trying my best, mate.
As if you're going to be boring for the other couple of hours.
Yeah, like a cliffhanger.
Yeah, like a cliffhanger, yeah.
Yeah, Alfred. It's a bit of Alfred Hitchcock.
You're doing it again, aren't you? Alfred Hitchcock.
So you have a problem with Ian being the man? Is that why you grew that mustache and you tried to look as manly as possible, so the roles would reverse?
Geordie, I'm not being funny. That would have tickled my back no end.
I think one of the biggest regrets of my career is that moustache. I have to say, I did have a perm as well for a while at Northampton, which is
I was about to say,
Keegan,
you're talking village people now. Come on.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into the actual episode then, and make sure you wait to the end to find out about that cliffhanger about Ian and Trev here. But first things first, Trev. Let's get the boring stuff out the way, right? So
you like boring stuff? You can't say that. Who was doing the boring? Go on, sorry.
So, Trev, how's everything been over there in Norway? How's it been with the quarantine? How's life going? What have you been up to?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same as everywhere. I mean, this is it's an amazing country, and it's probably the richest country in the world per person. And I think that under 200 deaths. So if you compare that to America or England, on the percentage-wise, they've done really well. But it's a bit boring. It's a lot of staying indoors and keeping away from people and hygiene, washing my hands. I haven't washed my hands for 30 years, to be fair. I've stopped washing.
It's a good
you
job.
Want to see the state?
Good job you were reminded.
The state. Boys, you must have remembered the state of his sausage fingers.
Well, I never get that. When I come to Florida,
the Richmond sausage fingers, doesn't he?
When I come to Florida, you go to the toilet, there's always signs saying that employees have to wash their hands. I don't get that. It's like... Are we,
What, in restaurants?
if we're not employed, we don't wash your hands off. I don't get that, but that's Florida.
Yeah. We have to be reminded, but it's a good thing the government are reminding everyone now. So so we can all wash our hands. And how strict is the lockdown over there? Because I heard I don't know if it's similar to Sweden. I don't even know if this is true, but like apparently Sweden didn't lock down at all. Is Norway similar or like?
Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, similar to Sweden because it's Scandinavia, but that's you Americans don't know what Europe is, do you anymore?
Easy.
I don't think anyone knows what Europe is anymore. England's trying to leave, you know.
No, but coming back, Sweden stayed open, and they're suffering for that now. A lot of people getting the coronavirus, so they try to do it a different way, but you don't know. I mean, maybe there won't be a second wave, so we can't say that they've done wrong at the moment, but the numbers are not good. But Norway lockdown's pretty good.
Yeah.
But there's still you can still go to the cafe, or if they're serving food, you can go in there. So I was out last night in my favourite little cafe place, and had a few beers, and because they're serving food, you're allowed to go in there. I didn't actually eat, so I cheated really. I just went there for the beer. But
do you think the small number of deaths in Norway is down to everybody injecting themselves with disinfectant?
Yeah, because we're starting that here, aren't we? So. Yeah. Anyway, we'll
was
get.
that a real question?
No.
It was a terrible joke he was saving this whole time.
That wasn't the best joke. Cut that one out, Jordan.
Yeah, no, we've got to show the true Ian Bishop, and that was what he's like most of the time. You know, just crickets after he makes a joke. So.
They have a pop at me for dad jokes, Trev.
Yeah,
Don't worry about it.
we were actually listening to the last episode we did. We were quite harsh on you, Dad, near the end. So we'll try and lighten up on you.
We'll wait till the end again.
Yeah, we'll wait till the end again. So Trev, we'll team up on him.
I never heard it, mate, because I was concerned how drunk I might have sounded.
Yeah.
After 4 hours of drinking with Dickie.
Yeah. So
Hey boys, you've got a great dad, by the way. Let me know that he loves you so much, and he's so proud of you guys, and you couldn't get a better dad than him, I tell you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why we give him shit, you know.
If it had been your dad, of course, but only,
Well, I thought you were.
mustache.
Yeah. Aren't you dad number 2? That's how we've known you.
He did stay with us for a bit before you were born.
Yeah. So let's jump into the football, shall we? I know we've got a lot to get to, but Trev, you had a great career. You know, I've got your teams listed out here. You're at Nuneaton, Northampton, obviously City and West Ham, and then Reading. So I mean, let's kick off with getting into football. Like, what was the real driving factor behind you wanting to be a footballer as a kid?
Well, I just think I was born into it. My dad had been a football player for Nottingham Forest, but he'd finished playing when I was born, so I never see him play. But all I remember doing was kicking a ball in my backyard. I had quite a poor upbringing and a little back garden, and all I did was spend hours kicking a ball against the wall. And when I got a bit older, it was down the park playing football. That's all I ever did was play football. And I remember going at 4 years old, my dad taking me to watch Nottingham Forest, sat on his knee, because he had some season tickets, and we always had to leave 20 minutes before the end because we had a shop that sold newspapers, and I remember we were beating Burnley 2-0, got back, it was 2-2. I could never understand how the scores changed. So it was sort of football was my life. That's all I wanted to do, all I ever wanted to. You know, I was quite intelligent. Your dad weren't like this, but I went to high school. I passed my 11 plus, and what was quite ironic was actually playing for Nottingham Boys, and we got the letter saying after 11 plus, and they all opened it. They were all going to Glaisdale. And opened mine, and mine was different. It was you going to High Pavement Grammar School, and I was like disappointed. But when I went home, my mum and dad were like really proud. But I don't think it was. When I went to the school, they didn't play football.
It was all
they
girls.
played rugby. They played. It was all boys school. It was all boys school.
That's where it started. Okay, well, see.
But we played rugby and hockey and cricket. So, and I remember being about 12 years old and going knocking on the door to where all the teachers were to talk to the head sports master and saying, I've been selected to play Nottingham Boys. And he said to me, no, you can't play. I went, and I was real shy as a kid. I was like, okay, and walked away. And I said to my dad, they won't let me play because they don't play football here. So it was a bit ironic that I went to a school that played football, but played rugby, not football. But it didn't deter me. I mean, we played football in the dinner breaks and everything. So it was just my dream. I remember when the people come in and ask you what you wanted to be, and I said I want to be a footballer, and they were like, "Come on, be serious." I went, "Okay, I want to be an accountant, but I really want to be a footballer." I always remember put question mark footballer at the bottom. So, but you missed 2 clubs out. I mean, my first club was Derby County. I was at 16 as an apprentice, and I never played. And then got released at 18 and went to Corby Town.
That's why I missed that one out, Trev.
No, yeah, I did. When I was.
God, every time I speak, is there going to be a silence?
What do you? No, no, I laughed at that. I think it's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, Derby, they released you, didn't they? So that was another sort of, something going against you that probably, set a fire. Not to take Ian's job, but set a fire under your ass. So did that just fuel you even more then? Just the sort of, somewhat rejection from Derby?
Actually, it didn't, no. I'll be honest, I didn't think I was good enough. I was very small as a kid. I was a late developer, and I just didn't think I was good enough. And, I spent 3 months there doing nothing. I was on the dole, and me and my best friend, Tony Barracliff, who played for Leeds, he got released from Leeds at the same time, and we started selling bags of potatoes. And then after about 3 months, his dad, who was actually a part-time scout for Manchester United, said, "I've got you a move to Corby Town." And it was £120 signing-on fee and £40 a week. So, I mean, it was a 6th division. And but the good thing that came out of it was, I mean, we played in front of 300 people. And when we got there, they said, "We need someone to play centre-forward." And I said, "I can't play centre-forward." And I don't know if Bish knows this, I was always a central midfield player.
No,
and I was useless at it.
No,
and that's why I never made it as a central midfield. But I said to Corby, "No, I can't play up front." And Tony had to go, and he was useless. So after about 2 or 3 games, he said, "Trevor, you're playing centre forward." And reluctantly.
That's like grammar school.
I played centre forward, and I looked.
No. Say the word again.
Reluctantly.
That's as good. Yeah, go on.
That wasn't so bad that time.
No, it was good.
So that's how I got to be centre forward, and that my career took off from that moment, because I had about 5 months at Corby Town and centre forward, and then got, say, a move to Nuneaton, which was in the better non-league, the 5th division and such. So, and that's why I've always admired central midfield players. I think that's the most I always think it's the most difficult position to play. I think defending and attacking is okay. You've got the pressure of scoring goals, but being a central midfield player, for me, is by far the toughest place on the pitch, and that's one of the reasons that I fell in love with your dad when I watched him play central midfield.
It's the origin story.
Yeah.
So what was your...
my best moment at Corby Town it's quite interesting. We got to the 4th round qualifying of the FA Cup, which was massive for Corby. It was the biggest game in the history and it meant that if they won that game, we were in the 1st round of the FA Cup, where you could get a big side, from the 2nd, 3rd division. And we were playing Bedworth, and now Corby Town was full of Scotsmen because it's a shipping where they made the ships. So they were all from Glasgow, and I couldn't understand what they were saying. So on the Thursday training, they said, "Okay," to me and Tony, "you go straight to the game, because it's an hour to drive to Corby from Nottingham. You drive straight there; it's nearer."
Yeah.
So so we got in the car. Tony's dad, we borrowed his Ford Escort, and we're driving down. Turned off at Leicester, and I stopped in a lay-by and asked one of these lorry guys, said, "Can you tell me where Bedford is?" And he said, "Bedford." I went, "Yeah, Bedford." He went, "That's another hour and a half down the motorway." So like 2 idiots, we panicked, went back onto the M1 motorway and went all the way. Now it's late. We're panicking. It's like we arrived at the ground at 10 to 3. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff. And we drive in. The guy, we said, "Well, the late players." And he let us go in. We drove in. As we drove in, we saw the 2 teams coming on the pitch. And it wasn't Corby. We'd gone to the wrong game. Now this won't be so bad, but this is so long ago. This is when you had 12 players. You had 11 players and 1 sub.
Yeah.
So we panicked like hell. They rang up to the ground at Bedworth to say that we'd turned up at the wrong place. And we got no chance of getting there, no chance. So we drove down the motorway. I remember we got back there, and we got there about 20 past 5. The game was finished, and the crowd was coming away. And we wound the window down, and we asked one of the supporters, "What was the score, mate?" He went, he said, "Bedworth beat Corby 1-0, last 10 minutes." And he said, "They turned up with 10 men." Oh, no.
You were like, I know, we're 11 and 12.
So we had to go in the dressing room, and they absolutely crucified. I was 18, and it's funny. A couple of people told me that story. I never admitted it was me. So,
Trev, I did see something that recently that the best contract you had, I think it was from your West Ham time, was 150 grand. Do you ever have any regrets going into football and not going with Mr. Potato Head?
Yeah, I do have regrets because when I went back. It's quite ironic. I'll just go on that Mr. Potato with my friend Tony Barracliff, who got released from Leeds. When we start selling bags of potatoes, we literally walk round Nottingham banging on doors selling big bags of potatoes. Now, we made a bit of money from it, not a lot. We used a sign-on fee from Corby to buy a transit van, and but we did okay. We got by, had a bit of fun, sold some potatoes, red potatoes, whatever. But I got back into football, so I went away from that as I got back into football. And he carried on, and Mr. Potato, Tony, I think it was about 13 years later, he sold the company for £7.7 million.
Jesus.
Of which I got nothing. And if you drive back to Nottingham now, you'll see big lorries with Barraclough on the side. It pissed me off big time, to be honest.
How long ago? Sorry, how long ago did you say he sold the company? Like, where were you in your career when he sold the company?
Well, I think I would have been at West Ham when he sold it.
Yeah.
Just towards the end of my career at West Ham when he sold it, and he bought it back, and he bought it back because for about £200,000 and sold it again for £3 million. So he did it twice. But you know what? He bought lots. When he was 18, he went and bought a house for £20,000, which doesn't sound a lot now, but it was a lot then.
Yeah.
And how he did it, I don't know. He went to the bank. I remember he put his velvet jacket on his tie. He went to see the bank manager, and he came out and he said to me, "I've got the loan." I went, "Have you got the loan? We haven't even got a job." And he bought this, and he ended up with about 50 properties. So he's super rich. Am I pissed? Yes, I am. I wish I'd not played football. I wish I'd sold potatoes, and I'd be driving around in a Rolls Royce now. So.
And you wouldn't be known as Ian's better half.
He wouldn't know. So obviously, you wasn't the brains of the outfit.
Yeah, he was the one that held the bag of potatoes.
To be fair, I mean, this is your dad and I called him Cheesy, and that was Jimmy. I remember Jimmy Quinn came up with this name, Cheesy Bishop, and it stuck. And Jimmy Quinn, I played centre forward. He actually managed me at Reading later, but
what do you mean it's stuck? What do you mean it's stuck?
What's the story?
I got the name Rusty Nuts. Your dad called me Rusty Nuts.
It wasn't visual. Okay, Rusty Nuts. It wasn't visual.
Yeah,
it wasn't visual. It was opposite to Golden Balls.
Yeah, I get that checked.
Opposite to Golden Balls. I'm probably that was the first of my Rusty Nuts story where I could have sold potatoes, and that's sort of the story of my life. Everything's gone wrong for me, but.
It is the opposite to Golden Balls, by the way.
Yeah,
that's the opposite.
Rusty Nuts. That's funny. Where did the nickname Cheesy come from then? What is that? What's the story behind that?
Well, I remember sitting in the Swallow Hotel where we stayed with Jimmy Quinn, and as I remember, and I remember badly, he came up with he said he started calling him Cheesy, and I was, "Why do you call him Cheese?" He went, "Cheesy Bishop." And anyone that mean. You're not chess players. I'll go back to being a bit more intelligent. I'm a good chess player, and the bishop is and it looks like something else.
and it's
Cheesy.
And it's stuck, yeah.
As all good chess players know.
Yeah.
You know, you boys know what a cheesy bishop is. You've not had a shower for a few days, and you know.
I think the bishop piece would be wearing a winter coat if anything.
Was you lost in the mountains, Trev, when you didn't have a shower for a few days? Fucking hell. Anyway, boys, I'm sorry about that. But that's your name also.
Gladly it's never caught on.
Fuck. Thankfully.
So Trev, let's jump into your career. Have you got any more memories you wanna talk about from Nuneaton or Northampton? Is there anything that springs to mind when those two clubs? Because you were there for what, 3 years each of them?
Yeah, Corby I was only there for like just under a season, but Nuneaton I was there for 4 years. So I got to admit, I thought I was stuck because I saw myself as a footballer. I thought people ask me, "What do you do?" I'm a footballer. I'm a semi-professional footballer. And the years were going by, so I was there till I was 22, nearly 23. So I never saw my next move going on. But my best memory of Nuneaton is meeting George Best. And the story behind that was we had an Irish chairman and a little guy, always smart in a suit, had an old Rolls Royce, drinking brandy, the big cigar, great character. So George Best had just stopped finished playing for Manchester United. But he'd do the odd games. I think he used to get about £2,000, which was a lot of money then, to come and do a game. So it's Monday night at Nuneaton, and George Best playing. And we're playing Coventry then in a First Division team. And I always remember this. It's 10 to 7. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff, and George has not turned up. Now everyone knows he's got a drinking problem, whatever.
Yeah.
Now there's 7,000 people in Nuneaton. They're on the roof. He only owns 2,000 people. They're packed everywhere. And the chairman, he's got his brandy, his cigars going. I felt sorry for him. He's panicking. When suddenly this Jaguar turned, they'd come in the car park, and we're all looking out the window. And there, the present Miss World, an ex-Bond girl, Mary Stabbin. Mary Stabbins.
We said we wouldn't talk about the stabbing.
Mary Stabbins got out the car in a fur coat. And it was so surreal. And then George got out in his jeans, his white T-shirt, and he was so good looking, bitch. I got to say, he's the only guy, footballer, that I've known better looking than you at that time. And he scored. He was brilliant. What a character!
Why, he played in his jeans.
Was he so? So you got to meet him then? Did you play? You played with him in that game, or?
Yeah, I only played 10 minutes because I was actually suspended, and I made a fuss that I wanted to play with him.
He went to the wrong ground.
He was in Bedford. Yeah.
And I played under a different name, and then ran off the pitch after 10 minutes. As daft as that sounds, but
what, rusty nuts?
But we went for a meal after, and I swear that Mary Stabbins was giving me the eye all night. I'm not sure, but
was he? So
you were still in your kit.
So
my Nuneaton career, the only other thing was really Nuneaton. I didn't really score many goals. I was just hard working centre forward, let everyone else score the goals. But I did get into the England. We did have Mohammed Ali came once as well. The chairman got Mohammed Ali to come.
Jesus.
I don't know. And he was driving around the ground in an old open top Rolls Royce before the game, and we just spent our time trying to ping the ball onto his head. And
he was punching it.
None of us hit him. We were non-league. We were shit, so we couldn't even hit him. But I was lucky to meet him.
How big was his head? What was he? Was he the only boxer that was better looking than me as well?
Yeah, he was a good-looking guy, to be fair. But he started with that. He wasn't. He couldn't speak that well, but he was a super guy. He loved the kids and that. So
you'd have had a good conversation then.
Yeah. So actually, Nuneaton, I didn't do that much. But I met George Best and I met Mohammed Ali. But I did get into the England non-league team, which your dad loves this one because I got about 6 or 7 caps playing for England. I got the England caps. I've still got the England caps. What I don't think maybe you've got one, Bish, have you?
He's got one.
Yes,
Yeah,
one, yeah. That was England B, though, Trev. It wasn't non-league.
Switzerland.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to say.
A, B, C, who's counting?
Those are letters.
I think they're letters, yeah. Not numbers, Trev.
Who is counting?
That schooling did you well, eh?
So what was that like then, playing England non-league?
Ask him what the national anthem was.
He's been waiting for this one.
Go on, sing it, Trev.
God save our gracious Queen. You tell me, what is it?
My old man's a dustman, he wears a dustman's hat. He wears go blimey trousers, and he lives in a council flat.
One of the problems with this was that one of Bish's other best mates, Mark Newson, I played with him, Newson, he was a super guy, and he also played in England non-league team, and he went on to play football.
Trev, I think Newson's their godfather.
Yeah, or mine or Connor's?
One of ours, yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that.
Well, it would have been a bit suspicious if you were, we had to...
Good way out, yeah. But I'm going to leave you something in the world with boys anyway, okay?
Yeah.
Bag of potatoes.
And we'll sell them for £7 million. Be rolling in your grave. So anything... Sorry,
but what came out of Nuneaton was, and then this is another lucky thing, my first lucky break was getting Corby Town playing me centre forward. My second lucky break was Graham Carr was the manager of Nuneaton that took me there. And he got the job at Northampton Town, who finished second from the bottom, but they were obviously in the third division in the league. And as soon as he took the job, he signed me. So, and I was nearly 23 years old. So that was my second break because I think I could have been stuck in non-league forever. So it's only the fact the manager of Nuneaton went to Northampton and he took me there, and he actually made me captain, which I was quite proud of. So that was a bit of a break. I had 2 breaks in my career.
So any specific memories from Northampton? It's funny that you got to meet all these big celebrities at Nuneaton, isn't it? It's just that was just down to the chairman being lavish and flashy and stuff like.
Yeah, it must have been. I mean, he was like, say, you can imagine the character. He always had the pinstripe suit on and the Rolls Royce.
I'm picturing them. I'm picturing the Monopoly man for some reason. With the
had a cane, yeah.
And the monocle.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, so for me that was my dream then to go and play. And again, I thought now I've made it. I'm in the league. I never thought about getting to the Premier League. I just thought now I've made it. I'm in the Football League. I'm captain of Northampton Town. And to be fair, Graham Carr, he took about 6-7 non-league players in, and in the second season we won the third division and got promotion. So they were fantastic times, to be fair, Northampton, because you're talking about a team that had 1,000 people watching them. They had 3 stands, and then we had like 11,000 at some games, 7,000. It was crazy. So they were amazing times. I'll never forget them. Some of the best football memories of my life, to be honest.
Was that when you became the goal scorer, Trev? Yeah. Didn't you bang some goals in for Northampton? It
was quite funny. It wasn't Graham Carr's assistant, and he said to me, Trev, he said to me, "You don't score enough goals." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You don't score enough goals. All the other guys get headlines." I said, "What should I do?" He went, "Get in the box." Because I was always the one that went out for the throw-ins, all the build-up. I did all the donkey work. So I thought about it a bit, and I thought he's right. And that little bit of advice there, just get yourself in the box, be a bit more selfish, and that's when I started to score the goals, to be fair. And the season, Richard Hill went to Watford for £250,000 when Elton John was there, and a few months later, Watford tried to sign me, which is another rusty nut story. So they agreed to sign me. I agreed to done the deal, and they were paying quite big, actually very big wages, Watford at the time.
Yeah.
And they were playing in the FA Cup on Saturday. So Northampton asked if I could play one more game for Northampton. because I was cup tied. I'd already played, because being in the lower leagues, you play the FA Cup earlier.
Yeah.
So I was cup tied. So Watford said, yeah, okay, you can play one next and come and sign next week. So all the deal was done. And Watford, I can't remember who they played, but it was I think it was a non-league team or a third division team. And they drew 1-1 at home. So on the Monday morning, I've got my suit on, I'm all ready to go. Graham Carr's going to pick me up, we're going to drive up to Watford and sign the contract. And the phone went. And it was Harry Bassett, the manager of Watford. He went, Trevor, where are you? He went, it's Harry Bassett. I went, all right, I'm on my way now. He went, don't bother, son, I've just been sacked.
Oh, shit.
Another potato reference.
So I rang Graham Carr straight away. He went, the deal's off. I thought, so there we go again, rusty nuts. But lucky for me, I think it was 3 weeks later, Manchester City came in for me. I got a call. They said to me, we want to drive up to Manchester now. I remember they said to me, do not tell anybody, because I wasn't a superstar, but there was a little bit of interest in me. Get yourself up here as quick as you can. Don't tell anybody you're coming. So I drove up from Northampton to Manchester, 2.5 hours, and I'm in the office.
Did you find it?
They printed directions for him, yeah.
I found it okay, and I'm in there, and after about 5 minutes, the phone's going, and it's the press. And Jimmy Frizzle's gone, you told him, haven't you? I told who? He went, there's press outside, the Trevor Morley's here, is he signing for Manchester City? I went, I've told nobody. And we looked out the window, and I drove up in my sponsored car, and on the side of it, it said Trevor Morley, Captain Northampton Town. And I parked it right outside Main Road, so...
It's Robin Reliant.
Yeah. I think I was going to call the transfer off because I was a bit stupid, but anyway.
But then obviously, it worked out. I mean, you had a lot. You've obviously got a lot of great memories from City. We've got a few games we want to pinpoint here. First of all, the Bournemouth game. I think what was your memory of that Bournemouth game? I mean, Ian, you were talking to me about this before.
Well, I mean, it was because we obviously Man City was a massive club, and everything was about getting back into the top division. Yeah. And we had a good season, and we just had to beat Bournemouth at home. And I remember it was a sunny day. I think it was about 35,000 there, and it was like party atmosphere. And Harry Redknapp, of course, and it's the first time I met your dad, Ian Bishop, and what's his name? Who's in the midfield player, Bishop?
Sean Brooks.
Matty Holmes played, Luther Blissett. But I remember. So we're 3-0. I've scored a great goal. I think Noose played, didn't he?
Yeah, Noose was there. Yeah.
I think I nudged him for one of the goals, and I scored a good goal. So we're 3-0 at half time, and it's party. It's like we're back in the top division. Eddie Large, you won't remember Eddie Large, but he was one of the top comedians at the time. He's in the dressing room at half time telling jokes. Looking back wasn't the best thing because I remember the game, and I remember we were a bit lucky we were very lucky to be 3-up. In fact, we could have been. It was more like we could have been 3 down. And second half, they just ripped us to pieces, and we hung on, 3-1 halfway through, 3-2 towards the end, and then last minute, in fact 7 minutes into injury time, Andy Hinchcliffe gave a penalty away, 3-3, and suddenly it was like chaos at Main Road. The fans were so disgruntled. But I remember your dad was brilliant that day. In fact, the whole Bournemouth team outplayed us and taught us a lesson, really. So whether we were nonchalant, I don't know. But the scenario was that we had to get a point the next week away at Bradford.
Do you remember, Trev? Do you remember coming for me during the game? Do you remember smashing me during the game?
Yeah, I was always a bit... I liked a little bit of a fight and a scrap, and I always thought it was a bit of a hard play. And I remember I grabbed your dad and went in for a little tackle, and he grabbed me around the throat. And it was love at first sight.
This was during the game?
Yeah, during the game. During the game we had a little, because, I mean, it's the first time I'd seen your dad, and I couldn't take my eyes off him because he was such a good player, and this is part of me being a failure as a midfield player. When I see someone like that running round with all the skills, the passes, the tricks, it was like I was like a little bit in awe of him, so I thought I'm going to have to kick him or something. And I tried to kick him, and we had a little meeting face to face. I think Bish, did you grab my throat or something?
I grabbed your throat, yeah, and I went, "You got to get rid of that moustache."
Before I introduce you to my mum and dad.
No, I did. I grabbed him by the throat, and he just laughed in my face. To be honest with you, I must admit, he did laugh at me. But it was one of them things, you know. I'd sort of seen him coming. Later on in his career, we did give him the nickname Nudger at West Ham because he was one of the strongest players that you would come up against. You know, I think if you look back and you see some of the videos, you see, I think one of the most recent ones I've seen was him getting a penalty at Tottenham in the 4-1 win, Trev, you know, with West Ham. Yeah. When you'd seen, I don't know, it was Gary Mabbitt or somebody coming at you. And he just held your body in the way and took the smash and then won us the penalty in the end. But more often than not, it was you holding them off. And there was a video out there recently about your goals at West Ham, and a lot of them were you being strong as that centre forward, you know. But, you know, going back to the day at Man City, what I wanted to ask, because obviously not long after that I did sign, and I walked into, we were talking to Paul Dickoff last week, and we were talking about good dressing rooms. And I walked into what I seen as a good dressing room there, but what was it like before I got there? What were the lads, you know, Bob and Redo and Lakey and the likes? What was the dressing room and the atmosphere then like before I got there?
It was pretty good, but I think you mentioned there, they're such a great youth team that, you know, about 5 or 6 had come through won the FA Youth Cup, beat United 3-0, I think 25,000 people there, so... but it was a good dressing room because they were good kids. I mean, you had David White and Andy Hinchcliffe, which were a little bit. They were quite brainy people, not your average footballers, but in general, like Shuey, McNabb and that. It was a decent dressing room, but it needed a little bit of lifting. It needed maybe some like yourself, a little bit of scouts to come in and lift it a little bit. But it was a decent dressing room. It was a fair dressing room, to be fair. But it was very, very. I mean, when I came and played for Man City, I was like the third oldest player. Do you know what I mean? At 25, so it shows how young the team was in some of the games. So.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so after that, moving on to the Bradford game was huge. So you just drawn with Bournemouth, and then you needed a point at Bradford, and there was obviously there seemed to be a nervousness among the fans, you know, from everything I've read, going into that game. And I watched the highlights recently on YouTube. They've got the highlights on YouTube, and Trev, I think you must have had like 5 or 6, maybe even more shots on goal that just didn't seem to go your way when you were 1-0 down against Bradford. What was the frustration like in the middle of that game? You know, like what was the feeling? You know, did you feel like you wouldn't, like, never just gonna get that goal, or how did you feel during all that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you summed it up really well there, because I remember that game. I don't remember many games, but I do remember that game, and I did have like 5 or 6 chances, and I probably should have scored. I was a little bit unlucky. I think one couple of good saves, but yeah, I felt a goal coming, and what the scenario was that Palace had to win 4-0, so there was another equation to this. If Palace had to win 4-0, and what happened was then the news came round that Palace were winning 4-0, and then suddenly the crowd was like really edgy, and you know, it got really nervy and everything. But as I remember that game, it was one of those games where I thought, I'm going to score. I'm just give me one more chance, because like you said, I had 6-7 chances, and if you see the goal, it came straight from Paul Cooper, and it was a great move. And
yeah, I think David White said
finish. I just slid in, and yeah. But you know the funny thing, if you watch that video, there's one thing that sticks out for it. I scored the most important goal in my career.
Yeah.
Right in front of the Man City fans, 5 minutes from the end, to get us promotion to the top league. And not one person came to celebrate with me.
Yeah.
If you watch it, I run in front of the crowd with my arm up with Alan Shearer.
Yeah.
As I whirl away, there's not one player come towards me. So I look straight to the linesman and think, am I offside or what?
Yeah.
I think I've got no mates or what?
The linesman come celebrate with you.
The effects of that moustache was kicking in.
Yeah, I read too. Wasn't there a fan that ran on the field near half time and said Palace were 5-0 up or something like that? I think they went over to Paul Lake. Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Lake, and that was the message coming through. So that was like there was lot of people on the pitch saying, "Shit, Palace are winning 4-0. We're in trouble. Do you know what I mean? We've got to score." And so it was a perfect game in a way to score late on and get promotion and the emotion and everything. And I think it was ironic because I got a new contract on that. Yeah. And because the chairman, God bless him, he said that was a £1 million goal. And if you think £1 million, and is it £200 million now to get promotion? So just show us how far the game's gone.
Did you?
The irony of that as well, and I didn't realise till later on in my life, never mind later on in my career, is that if Trev hadn't scored that goal, I wouldn't have signed for Man City.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't have got promotion, and I was on the verge of a move from Bournemouth. Wherever I was going to go, it was going to be to one of the top flight teams. I never actually knew there was an interest from Man City at all. Even that second to last game at Main Road when I played for Bournemouth, I knew that Kenny Dalglish was in the stands, and it wasn't sure. There was whispers whether he was watching Lakey or whether he was watching me. And as Trev said, I mean, I did play fairly well that day, so I assumed it was going to be, even then, the second to last game of the season, I never knew of Man City's interest in me. Yeah. So, I mean, back then it was all about your agent knew and the managers knew, but the players never got to know.
It wasn't as viral, the media, like now you've got the gossip hits before anything can get out.
Not at all, but I mean, the funniest thing for me was that, especially signing for Man City, is that Bournemouth game scuppered. I think they had planned, and you, Trev, you'd had planned a trip to Australia. If you won that day against Bournemouth, yous weren't even going to play against Bradford. Yous were going to go on a club trip and a jolly up to celebrate your promotion and go to Australia. Because we come back from 3-0 down and made it 3-3, we sort of scuppered the trip to Australia. And I remember there being a little bit of an atmosphere in the dressing room when we did talk about the trip.
It's just like Man City of old, though, isn't it? To have it 3-0 up and then.
They wouldn't have had it any other way. Yeah, it was Man City of old. Yeah.
Yeah. Trev, did you feel the atmosphere? Like, what was the feeling from? So obviously the fans were getting nervy. How does that feel being on the pitch with all the eyes on you? People knowing Palace were up. I think that game ended 4-1 at Palace, but. What was that feeling being on the pitch with? Did you feel the eyes glaring at you and all the rest of the players?
Yeah, not so much. I have to be totally honest. I didn't. Personally, what I felt was that I had to do something because I'd had the chances. It was me that had the chances, and people was always going to blame me because I always say that. I've always said this. Fans always have a go at strikers when they miss chances, but I never do because if you get getting chances, you'll score. Yeah. People never have a go at people that don't get chances. I think they see it wrong. And that day, I felt like a goal was coming because, like you said, you've seen it on YouTube, and it was some bad finishing, some bit unlucky, some didn't quite go in. I just felt a goal was coming, so I remember having a positive feeling. And I think that for me, and Bish has been there as well. When you start at a club and then you play lower down like he did with Carlisle, and I did it. I mean, I did it even worse at Carlisle. You go 6-5, 4-3-2. I went through the divisions. There's something that's installed in you. I think that some players don't have the academy players that come through, players that are top players, play at top clubs all their career. I just think that that. I'll say Jamie Vardy, for instance. I mean, look at Jamie Vardy. I mean, he doesn't look like a footballer. He looks like I don't know why he looks like a ferret or something. But the way to think he was playing non-league football like 5-6 years ago, 7 years ago maybe, at 24 years old, to see what he's done. But he's still, you can still see he's got that non-league in him. He's still got a little 100%. Crack.
Yeah, I love him for that. That's why, you look at the likes of fucking Jesse Lingard and. He's all about the fame, not the football, So
and Vardy's the opposite.
And Vardy's the complete.
That's quite a good comparison, that con.
Yeah, Vardy looked like he'll still come and fix your toilet if you needed it, But still banging the goal,
Silly, where have you pulled that from?
Hey, Trev, I just wanted to ask you something. How do you feel about, I mean, obviously, I never really saw your goals growing up because I wasn't born yet. But, I mean, you look back on the videos and they called you Nudger for a reason, but how do you feel about, like, today's game? And, like, do you feel like most of the goals you would have scored with defenders diving nowadays, like the likes of Ramos and all that, do you think they would have like been fouls and that you wouldn't be able to lean into the defenders like how do you feel about that?
Without being big-headed, because I was not the greatest footballer, but I was the greatest nudger ever. And I think that I was such a good nudger that the referees didn't spot it most of the times. I nudged them just at the right time, just before the ball was coming.
Yeah,
I was very good at knowing.
Yeah, I mean, it's noticeable now on video.
If someone kicked the ball, I knew exactly where it was going to land. I know that if that's a skill, and Bish is probably the same. You see centre forwards, they're under the ball, or they're not even near where the ball's going to land. Now, as soon as that ball left, for example, Ludo's foot, I knew exactly where it was going to be. Yeah. And I get my body in the right position, so a defender couldn't get. And if he tried to get in front of me, I'd go down, or I'd nudge him first, or win a free kick. So I think it's a skill that I'm proud of. I mean, your dad, what I love about your dad is he technically had the best ball skills ever.
You would know.
So I think it came from Tony Gale, because when we used to play in the gym or play five-a-sides at West Ham, that Tony used to hate it because he used to give a nudge all the time. He used to get really angry. Go, that's a free kick, and he never got a free kick, So he said, "You're a nudger."
That's probably because there was a brick wall you was nudging him into.
There's a perfect example again. Just going back to the highlights against Bradford. There's a when you were still 1-0 down. There's a highlight of you. I think you head the ball in the air. You spin around and realize the ball's gone up, and who cares? And then you slam the other player. I don't know who it was, but you knock him down. You literally nudge him, and it would have easily been a foul today. I mean, if the ref saw it again, though, like you're saying, you were good at getting away with it and not having the ref see it. But it was just
VAR.
Yeah, imagine.
It was really fucking annoying in training, though. To be fair, I must admit. Dead man's bones, we used to call him as well. He had a proper carcass, didn't you, Trev?
Well, I have to go back to. I remember a little story in Nuneaton now when we played Wealdstone, and they had two massive centre halves, and I was nudging them like I did, and they were getting a bit angry. But I remember the ball went up high in the air, and the left back was under the ball, and it was one of those. I was like 20 metres away, and I thought, I'm going to win this. I knew I was going to win the ball. I'm going to flatten him. Yeah. So he's standing on the ball, and I've won the header, and I've flattened him. He's on the floor, blood coming out his mouth, whatever. And like the two centre halves have come running for me, and they're big guys. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Richard Hill, who you mentioned earlier, he was a bit crazy as well. So he's gone to protect me, and there's a fight gone. So anyway, Richard Hill's got a red card, and he's walked down the tunnel. And at Nuneaton, there was one sort of big stand with about 500 people there. And the tunnel was right, you had to walk in the middle. That's where the dressing rooms were. So Richard Hill walked off, and then all the crowd were booing. And then he gave a red to one of the smallest of the big centre halves at Wealdstone, and he went off. He walked down the tunnel. And then he gave a red card to this, I think his name was Bo Jess. He was huge with a beard, whatever. And the crowd were like loving it. They were all standing up. There was about 400 or 500 in this stand, standing on the stairs, clapping. Yay! And as he walked down the tunnel, he jumped into the stand. And all of them sat down. They all sat down and started clapping. It was like the most funny thing I've ever seen. There was 450 people like, yeah. And the defender, he jumped into the stand and they all sat down. No, we weren't clapping. We wasn't doing anything.
That's funny. Not like that Eric Dyer video that came out a couple of weeks ago where he went after whoever.
So going back to that Man United time, the Man City time, we've got to talk about the demolition derby.
Yeah.
I just tweeted a picture today where when I scored my goal, you're in the background walking away like nothing had happened.
That was funny.
Didn't care.
I tell you what that was. Right? I didn't think we was going to win, and I didn't want to celebrate the goals. Now, what happened was, we scored the first goal, I think David Oldfield, and I'm thinking, still not going to win this. And then I scored the second goal a couple of minutes later, and I sort of ran down the line in front of the fans there, and David White said to me, take your time. I went, what? Because he was dead clever, David White. He said, take as long as we can to walk back to the centres. And that centre, back to their own half. And I'm thinking, that was so negative, it's almost like 2-0's not enough. And I remember Bush scored the third. I'm thinking, it's still too early. I don't think we're going to. I wanted to celebrate. I really wanted to celebrate, but I couldn't because I didn't think that was enough to win us the game. I know that sounds negative, but I remember that was my feelings at the time. And looking back, I'm so angry I didn't jump. You know what I mean? Jump on top of your dad.
You were jealous.
I was a bit annoyed because that should have been my goal because that was coming straight for me.
Well,
I was right behind you, and I would have buried that, and you did a perfect header, which you weren't the best header in the. You know, what I mean, was you? I mean, you wasn't. But anyway, you buried it, and that was my thoughts. I thought 3-0. I'm pissed off. He took my ball. No, I didn't know that. That's bullshit. But no, it was the thought that we're not going to beat Man United, and I remember celebrating the last goal. Then I knew. I thought now 5-1.
Yeah.
And you know when Mark Hughes scored 3-1, I thought here we go.
Mark Hughes' goal was absolutely amazing as well. So
yeah, he got one of them every week though.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing was, I didn't really believe it possible till David Oldfield had scored the fourth goal. That was when I felt, because we stopped the momentum fairly straight away. Yeah. And got that 3-goal advantage again.
Yeah.
And then I think the fifth goal, I think it was me and you in the middle of the park that you played it to me, and I just checked inside and put it over the full-back for Whitey. And then that was it then, wasn't it, mate? It was done and dusted. It was unbelievable feeling. Nobody had expected it. And for the City fans who were long suffering and were for a long time after that, as you can gather how long that sort of game stuck with them until the 6-1 that we'd already spoke about a few weeks back.
It's a diamond in the rough, isn't it?
Yeah, milestone, yeah.
And even then it's still talked about as bigger than the 6-1 because of the team we had against the team that they had.
Oh, yeah,
the position,
they were, their whole entire team was like Champions League worthy, you know, like.
Yeah, he spent a few quid, hadn't he?
Yeah.
So,
I think the thing was that I think Brian Robson, he was a super player, wasn't he? And I remember there'd been rumours that he wasn't playing, and that sort of gave us a little bit of a boost. But
Trev, don't forget we were missing Shuey and Clive Allen that day as well.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, as it happened, David Oldfield came in for Clive and ended up getting 2 of the goals and making a couple, didn't he?
Yeah.
Trev, you said. Trev, you said it was David White who was telling you to keep your cool, keep your head on you, and walk back slowly.
Yeah.
Was that a feeling? Do you think was that a feeling amongst enough of the players to where that contributed to the win being as big as it was? You know, do you think was there a feeling that the team, the City squad, kept their head together, or did you feel a sense of? You know, I mean, was there a sense we were a very young team, Jordy. Yeah. We were a very young team, weren't we, Trev? I mean, well, you was obviously one of the oldest out there, not Paul Cooper in goal, but I think apart from him, you was probably the oldest outfield player, wasn't you?
Yeah, and I think I was. Did Shuey play, didn't he?
No, Shuey didn't play. No, Shuey was out.
No, so I'd be probably 25. Yeah, probably. So that's how young the team was, and when you say not just young, but inexperienced as well. So, but I think the youngsters, maybe looking back, because you got David White, Danny Hinchcliffe, Steve Redmond that had come up together.
Blakey,
Brighty. They all played that day, so that's amazing to have 5 players through the academy, and so I don't think there was no fear in us. I don't think. It wasn't a fear factor. It was more like I believed we was going to win, but it wasn't a fear factor. It was just one of those days where everything went right for us.
Yeah.
And we scored some great goals. I mean, no disrespect, David Oldfield wasn't the best player I've ever played with, to be fair, but he had a great day. Reddo was outstanding. Your dad was brilliant, you know. So it's just one of those days where, and Hinchcliffe, of course, that last goal. It's just a classic. That last goal when like Bishop runs it in Whitey, and then what's the left back doing up there? That's the commentator. I always remember him saying that because you 4-1 up.
Yeah.
He shouldn't really be there, should he?
Yeah,
He should just. Yeah. So it was a great day.
I think after the fourth, when I said I felt comfortable, I think that's when they'd surrendered, though. You know what I mean? And we had a freedom then that we hadn't had for the whole game, I don't think. And I remember, I think it was Clive Tilsley who was commentating. I think he said, when you talk about teams now when there's a high press, he'd said about our work rate and our ethic and how Man United couldn't settle on the ball because whenever there was one of them on it, there was two of us closing down, And that went right through the team. And look, I mean, for centre forwards, it's not you pat me on the back, I'll pat you on the back. But you worked your socks off, Trev, without the ball. You know what I mean? Like you said, you did do the spade work and the donkey work. Yeah. We had a similar conversation with Dickie. He would go and close full-backs down and run past his other centre forward and probably forfeit goal-scoring chances because he couldn't physically be there because of the extra work he did. I think you still had that. I know football changed as well, but you still had that work ethic about wanting to chase back and wanting to put your foot in and do your bit for the team as well as getting in them goal-scoring positions. And I did a podcast last week, and they did most underrated players for West Ham, and you was in there. And I can't understand for the life of me how you could have been underrated when your record itself, I think 3 consecutive seasons you were leading scorer. And Hammer of the Year. Something I never ever get on the top 3 for.
Yeah, 94 wasn't it? Hammer of the Year. I mean, it's good. This is a good transition into the move to West Ham from City. From what I've read and from what we've heard, I mean, you two weren't all that close at City, at least not as close as you were at West Ham. Not poking the bear here.
Couldn't get a newspaper between us.
Yeah. So what was that? So you two went from City to West Ham, and Mark Ward went the other way. What was that deal like? I mean, I know there's some stories there we're going to get into.
Well, that's the strange thing, isn't it? I mean, look, you become friends, but we were staying in the same hotel when we moved. We had the respect for each other. Obviously, we'd had the meeting on the field when I played for Bournemouth, and we'd become friends. And in all honesty, Trevor will admit this. He's not the most outgoing of people. He wasn't back then. He was, but once you got to know him, he was one of the funniest people you could meet. And he would say, because of his intelligence, but I'm forever doubting that. He's just got this dry sense of humour that you have to get to know him before you realise who the man is. So I think the first, because it was only 5 months, to be honest with you, me signing for City, which is why I asked him what the dressing room was like before I got there. Me signing for City, you sort of, you latch on to similar people. Mm-hmm. And Trev being the quieter one, it wasn't that we latched on straight away until we actually got the move. But I've got my side of the story, obviously, because I'm an individual learning from Howard what's going on with me. Once there was me and Trev did obviously talk about certain things. We wasn't going to talk about what have you been offered, what have I been offered, because that wasn't the way it was back then. Although now people's wages are out there for everyone to see, it wasn't like that back then. So there was 3 separate deals going on, and we only was getting to hear it through, obviously, the manager, Howard Kendall, at the times. And we all heard different things. I don't know what Trev's side of it was, but I'm sure he'll explain.
I think for me, Bish, it was like when I first signed for Manchester City, they after a couple of months they hated me. I didn't score a goal, the odd goal, and they loved the guy called Paul Molden, who was a local boy hero, but he wasn't a great player, but he got the goals. Paul Stewart had just gone to Tottenham and he scored 30 goals, so the crowd were really on my back, and it came to the extent where the writing newspapers, why is Morley playing, blah blah blah, and it came to the stage where they were actually booing me, if I gave a pass away, or whatever, and basically, basically what that's like. And I was like, I'll be honest, I started drinking quite a lot because I wasn't coping with it.
I definitely know what that's like.
Yeah. So yeah, no. But what happened for me was then I started scoring some good goals. I scored a hat trick against Leicester, and like the Bradford goal we talked about. And suddenly I got my confidence. I was playing well, and they took to me. I wasn't the favourite, but they were singing my name. I turned over, and I was quite proud of that. And I'd done it by my hard work. I knew I'd done it by just steaming and flying around. Remember the United game? I was flying all over the place into tackles. I remember that. Just thinking, let's hold on to this. It wasn't a case of keep possession, although we did play well. So that time came. I was quite surprised that I remember that there was some friendly game, and I think someone said to me, "You're not going." I went, "Why?" "No, you've got to go up to the office." And it was just out of the blue. West Ham want you, and I didn't even know what a bish at that time either. So it was almost like. It's like a school kid being told what to do, really. I mean, it's almost I had no choice in it. I thought, I loved it at Man City, and I'd just turned the crowd round. We're in the top division. We got a decent team, but yeah. I mean, that was a bit of my personality. I let people sort of take charge of the situation. Before I know it, you haven't talked to West Ham, and the deal's done. And we swapped 2 puffs for a midget.
Hey, I remember. I actually remember. I don't know where. I can't for the life of me remember. But I remember speaking to Mark Ward, and he's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, it's quality.
Yeah, he's hilarious. Yeah.
Well, my side of it all. What Howard? The deal got delayed, Trev, didn't it? If you remember, Howard had come in his first game. I hadn't missed a game all season. His first game was Everton away, the one I'd been waiting for, and he left me out. He left me out of the team, didn't he? And I was fuming. I'd said to Lakey 2 weeks before Howard got there, once the news broke, I said it's been nice knowing you. So I had a funny feeling I was going to go, and Lakey went, "There's no way in a million years this club's going to let you go. The fans love you too much, And I mean, a lot of that was down to that Man United game, but I'd like to think that I did other things. Apart from that game, and funny enough, when Howard picked the first team, because do you remember, Trev? I think I played you in at Southampton. We knew he was watching the game. Southampton. That was the last game before he took over. Yeah. We lost 2-1. I think Clive scored. You'd hit a shot. I'd played you through, so it sort of set you through. You hit the shot. Clive scored. I thought, I've done okay. I know he's coming, and. That's like I say, that first game Everton away, I end up getting 20 minutes on the right wing or the left wing, wherever it was, and then the deal got scuppered. So we were going to go. I think we'd all agreed everything. And my side of the story was that Howard told me that Wardy had a horse down south in London, and Trevor had a horse up north, and they were arguing still. They couldn't decide whether they were going to do a swap deal with the horses. And Trev, you would have looked silly riding around on a Shetland pony, wouldn't you?
Do you know, I've heard that story. I did have a horse at the time, and was it Red Rum? I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, there's no truth in that story. But I do vaguely remember it being the slight delay. But I can remember distinctly when Howard first came, and we were doing a game, and he gave the bibs out, and he gave a bib to Gary Megson and not you.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. Don't read anything into it. And I remember thinking
before the Everton game,
yeah, and I'm thinking, because for me, I remember you was like, the crowd loved you. You've been outstanding. You was like such a great player. I'm thinking this can't be possible. It can't be like, nothing against Gary Megson, but. And I liked in that short time. I liked Howard, and he brought Peter Reid with him. But although I put my foot in it there because he was called Freddie, and my first thing I said to him, why do they call you Freddie? Is it because you look like Freddie Cougar? And I wasn't joking. I should never have said that. First time I met him, he was like a bit of a superstar, and he went, "What did you say?" with them like crazy eyes. I went,
Just crazy Freddy Krueger eyes, yeah.
He had long nails.
So for me, and Howard played me. I mean, Howard played me in front of Clive Allen, so I didn't think he didn't in those couple of games. He didn't not like me, but so it was a bit of a surprise. But yeah.
Well, what it was is we'd had the Everton thing, and to be fair, I was on the bench in the Man City. I don't know if you remember Trevor Goodison, but the Man City fans sang my name constantly, you know, and I kept looking over at him, and he just wouldn't put me on. It was just, like I said, I think we ended up drawing 0-0. He put me on the last 20 minutes. I don't know whether it was under duress because of the City fans or what. But the deal was going ahead after that, and then it got sort of put on hold, and then we couldn't sign because the next game was coming up, and I think it was Norwich at home. Do you remember that? We won 1-0.
Yeah.
And he actually started me, and there was banners in the stadium, Bish and Trev, don't go. Because obviously it had leaked out about the move and what have you. And there was banners, you know, don't go. And it was, I knew for a fact we'd played quite well. We'd won 1-0. And I didn't want to leave the field. Somebody tweeted me today that they remember that day. And I was crying my eyes out on the field, and I think I was the last to come off. And Howard was waiting there, like on the touchline, waiting for me to come over. And I thought, maybe things have changed now. Maybe the deal will be over. You know, I've played and I played well. Maybe the deal won't happen. And then I went to see him the very next day, and I went, has anything changed? He said no. So that was it then. Once your manager's sort of willing to let you go, what's the point in staying? That was my side of it. And look, at the end of the day, it was West Ham, and I had great images of them and watching them play in Europe, and it may sound stupid, but even the stanchions on the goals, when you used to watch them on the telly, them short stanchions, you know, I thought, you know what, I might like it there. They play great football. It's got a great footballing tradition, and we ended up going and staying in the Swallow Hotel for God knows how long.
Yeah, that's when we got thrown together, really, and that's where we became good mates, and we spent times together. And being at the Swallow there was good times. I mean, it's like you say. Obviously, Man City didn't want me anymore, and West Ham wanted you. So, you know, I didn't really have much say in it, and I didn't really think about, like you thought, West Ham. Although I found that later, my dad made his debut for Forest at Upton Park, which is a bit surreal, but many years, like 50 years, 60 years before that. But yeah, I mean, looking back, it was a good move, and you know, to be privileged to play for Man City and then to move to another club like West Ham. One of my biggest regrets is those East Enders are such great people, and the supporters. I mean, to play for Man City and West Ham, they're two of the best lots of supporters you could ever want in your life, you know. And
I agree.
With the West Ham, and the West Ham fans especially, because they really know the football, you know. They're on the ball. If you're not doing it, or they let you know, but if you're doing okay, they let you know as well. So in a way, it worked out. I think it was sort of a dream move for me in a way to go to London and to play for West Ham. You know, we dropped the division at the time, so that was a bit negative. We got a bit more money. I remember me and Bish getting the auto trade and deciding what car was going to buy, and he was going to go for a Porsche.
I remember it.
928, and I was going to go for a Jaguar or something, and. I think we ended up buying them as well, like idiots. But
I remember the Porsche.
I bought a Mercedes first. Do you remember that? The 198?
Yeah, the Mercedes, where they lowered, they had the skirts on it. They kept flying off all the time, yeah.
Yeah, and you both weren't into skirts back then, were you? So.
Here
we go.
So it's been a while.
So we keep.
It's funny because sorry, I just wanted to mention West Ham fans. They're the only fans that, I mean, obviously when we go back to England, we go watch games and that. West Ham fans, even though it's a derby and that, they're the only fans that I'll actually tell that I'm an actual Chelsea fan, because they love to talk football before actual rivalry.
Before they stab you.
Yeah, before they stab or brick me, yeah.
So remember, we've got this cliffhanger that we're getting to the end of the episode. We keep straying towards it and then coming back. So let's get back to the football again. You both made your debuts against Leicester. Was it easier? So like Trev, you had a lot of experience with moving around clubs. Was it easier moving with Ian, like both of you being on the field at the same time, making your debut then? Was it easier knowing that there was someone behind you, again, no pun intended, that you'd been familiar with?
I had a nightmare first marriage where I was locked in, so I wasn't that sociable, and then Bish brought me out of it really a lot. We got to be real close friends, and so to move with him made it a bit easier, yeah, but I still had the moustache at the time, so I looked like an idiot. Going
in the 90s.
Going to London with that northern moustache wasn't a good move, but...
Yeah.
Going anywhere with that moustache wouldn't be good.
Did you feel the chemistry on the pitch was still there, even though it was a different club?
Yeah, for me. I mean, for me, one thing that stuck out when I signed for West Ham was that we had, like Bish mentioned, they did play football, and we had Alvin Martin and Tony Gale. As a centre forward, it was brilliant because they would like just ping balls into my feet. And of course, your dad just knew. He was such a good player, such a good passer. He knew exactly where I was going to go. He knew exactly where to play the ball into me. So he made me a lot better player because he just knew. He just knew I'd hold it up for him or I'd go in behind. He knew exactly when to play the ball to me. So
Trevor settled in way quicker than I did at West Ham.
Yeah.
In a football sense, I knew it took me maybe 6-7 games or whatever.
Yeah.
But he just fitted straight in. He proved himself way before I did.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful. I mean, look, I know the West Ham fans don't really hold Lou Macari in great esteem, but when they think about it, the signing of us two and Lou Dec and Tim Breaker, he left a sort of legacy, Trev, didn't he, as well? And I don't know if you remember, mate. You remember our first sort of experience of Lou? And he didn't like players having a beer, to be honest with you. He didn't mind us betting and going to the races, but he didn't like you having a beer. One of the first things he did was to take us to a health farm. Do you remember that? Do you want to go on to that? That was fun.
I can remember because he said that we were overweight, me, you, I think Frank McAvenny, and he took Kevin Keane, who's like the thinnest guy ever. How we were overweight, I don't know, but it was surreal because I think the only reason we did it, looking back, was Lou wanted to hide from the newspapers because he'd been in all sorts of trouble with some scandals or whatever with betting or whatever, and he wanted to hide from the press, and I think that was his way out. And he took about 6 or 7 of us there, and my memory is that I remember Frank McAvenny coming in with a McDonald's hat on. Ronald, he'd sneaked out and got some food because the food, you got no food at all. We were getting starved in that place. But coming back to Ludo, a little story I remember is when we first signed and was down at Swallow, Ludo came as well, and of course he couldn't speak any English. He was terrible at speaking English, and he used to follow us. He'd follow us, and we'd say follow, and he'd say swallow, no follow, swallow. And he'd get mixed up between Swallow Hotel and Swallow.
Yeah. So did you.
And I remember we had a Christmas party. And Ludo just signed, and it was a fancy dress party, and Ludo's turned up, and he hasn't got a fancy dress. Like, he didn't understand that he had to have a... Can you remember this, Bish?
Yeah.
They had to have a fancy dress, so everyone's got the stuff. So we've took him down to the shop. There's a fancy dress shop nearby. And they've got nothing in his size because he was huge, you know what I mean? And he ended up got this little pirate suit, and it's far too small for him. And he's like, he's dragged it onto his body. And he looks like, he looks weird, to be honest. Big Ludo, he's like 7 foot tall, and he's in this little sailor outfit, I think it was. And I remember Frank McAvenny has ordered like some limousines, and they're like, one of them broke down after about 2 miles. These Rolls Royce or something, but we're driving anyway. And Ludo said, because Ludo we were driving past Ludo's house. He said, "Can it's okay? I'm just going to tell my wife I'm going to the party." And I always remember this. We stopped outside Ludo's house, and he ran out in this little outfit and knocked on the door. And his wife came out, and she saw him, and Ludo, what the fuck's going on?
She could speak English.
No, she said it in a different language, but I remember that Ludo standing there. We'd had a few pints, Ludo standing there in this ridiculous outfit, and she looked over his shoulder, and I was dressed as a Viking, and Bish was dressed as a woman. I can't remember.
You had to wear something that went with your moustache.
Yeah.
You know, remember we were at the health farm, and we were literally eating lettuce and apples, and it was awful. We were getting up at 6 a.m. and going for like a 5-mile run, and it was scandalous. We were straight into the gym, and he battered us. Lou absolutely battered us. Yeah. So you remember, Trev? He kept complaining about a toothache. He kept saying to us, "I've got this toothache." Yeah. And on the way in, the long driveway, it was Henlow Grange. There's a pub on the main road, which we'd noticed on the way in. And that run we were doing every morning, obviously we'd run down the driveway, the pub was there, and then do our work. Anyway, the last night we were there, as Trev said, Lou had his problems with the press and what was going on. I think it was to do with Swindon chairman at the time as well. They were involved with something. But the people at the Henlow Grange had got a hypnotist in for the last night, like as a source of entertainment for everybody. So we're standing there at the back, and all the other people from the health farm are there. And the hypnotist got this like armchair at the front, and he's gone, right, has anyone got any ailments, any pains or, back trouble? And we've gone, yeah, he's got a toothache. Lou's got a toothache. And Lou's gone, no, I haven't. So we've gone, yeah, he has. He's been moaning all week. Get him up there. And Lou's gone, no, I haven't. Honest, it's fine. Anyway, the hypnotist goes, come on up. So he sits him down in the chair. He puts him under. As soon as Lou closes his eyes and goes under, we all sodded off down to the pub. Snuck out the back door, went down the pub. We actually got to stay behind. We stayed there till, I don't know, was it something like 5 a.m, Trev? And we were running at 6. We literally had time to get back to our room. Yeah. Get undressed, get in bed, get out the other side, put your kit on. We went to go downstairs, and the manager had sort of come up and went, oh, you've got a message here. So it was a note from Lou. He had to leave at 11 o'clock the night before. So we all went back to bed, didn't we, Trev? Yeah. Got together. Yeah. We went back.
Yeah, I remember that. I'd forgotten that story. Yeah, I remember the relief. Yeah. Oh. That was like dream scenario. Lou had gone. Yeah.
He'd gone. Yeah. So we didn't know we were out till that late. Happy days, eh?
Happy days. Yeah. I've done that a few times. The drinking late and then running in the morning. That's one of the biggest regrets in football.
Did nobody throw up after?
Oh yeah.
I've been there in the toilets before going out for training.
Yeah.
A couple of days. When you've really. I mean, look, weekends were weekends. We knew Monday was going to be a tough day, didn't we? I mean, under Billy, under Harry, the managers came in after Lou had left. I mean, the thing for me, Trev, was being at Man City for 5 months and Mel Machin getting sacked, and then going to West Ham, and after 3 months, Lou got sacked. Yeah. You tend to feel like you might be a bit of a jinx, or and then Billy comes in, and one of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life, wasn't he?
He was, yeah, brilliant. I can remember one story with you when you'd been drinking, and I don't remember this, when he asked you how many pints you'd had, and you was like, because Billy, can remember he started running with you a couple of times.
Yeah, they would maybe wear them fat pants, didn't they? Yeah. Do you remember? It was what it was. Yeah, the first game of the season, I think, was Charlton at home, if you remember. And Harry had sort of come in alongside Billy. And Charlton at home, I remember we were losing 1-0 at half time. And we come in and they sort of give us a bit of a roasting. And then we come on for the second half. And after 2 minutes, I hadn't even touched the ball. After 2 minutes, Billy subs me. And in all honesty, I walked straight down the tunnel. And as I walked off, I turned to Billy and went, I don't want to say the word. I know it's a podcast where we think we can say anything, but it began with a C.
And ended with an unt.
Yeah, ended with an unt. And I walked straight down the tunnel, and I got dressed, And the embarrassed Trev, do you remember Charlie? The fellow in the car park, he was brilliant. I've gone to Charlie. I've got dressed and I've gone to just drive home before the game had finished. And I got to the car park and I was blocked in by everybody. So I had to do the walk of shame and walk back in after people had seen me storming out. So I walked back in. I've got to Charlie. Charlie's going through everybody's pockets to find the car keys to move the car so I can actually storm out. And I actually waited in the car park before he moved all these cars out my way so I could drive home. Anyway, Monday morning, how embarrassing. Monday morning, I know I'm going to get it, so I walk in and Billy sort of sees me and goes, "Bish in the office now." And I went, "Oh." He went, "Did you call me a cunt?" I went, and I must admit, boys, Trevor will tell you, he was intimidating. He was a proper man's man and intimidating, I went, "Oh, yeah, I did." He went, "You're fucking out of order." I went, "No, hold on a minute." I said, "You're fucking out of order." He went, "How do you make that out?" I went, "Well, you're coming at half time. You've let me go out for 2 minutes and humiliated me by taking me off.
Yeah,
even though I didn't touch the ball." I said, "Why didn't you just take me off at half time?" He went, "Oh, I didn't think of it like that." He said, "Oh, I apologise for that." I went, "I apologise for calling you the cunt then."
I think that. Yeah, go on.
Well, before the next game, Newcastle away, I think it was, Trev. Newcastle away, Billy's gone on the Friday or whatever it was. He's gone because we were travelling. He went, "Bish, I think I'm going to leave you out." I went, "And why is that?" He went, "Well, I'm going 5 in midfield." I went, "Well, Bill, if you're going 5 in midfield, surely that'll suit me to sit in the middle, and I'll protect the 2 centre backs, and I'll start things off." I went, just give me tomorrow, and if I don't do it, leave me out after that." That was me meeting in his office, and I ended up playing. We didn't play well. I think we lost, 1-0 or 2-0. So anyway, I know things aren't going the best, and I come home Saturday, and as we did, go out Saturday night, get scalloped, and go out Sunday, obviously, come in Monday, and I know what's going to happen. And I don't even remember, Trev, I was sitting in my corner, and they'd called a meeting. And I'm just sitting in my corner, and I'm all over the gaff, to be honest with you. And Billy and Ali walked in. As soon as he walked in, Ali's looked over and gone, "Look at the state of you." And that was it. I went, "Oh, fuck off." He's gone, "You've been drunk all weekend, haven't you?" I went, "No, I haven't. I was drunk Saturday." I said, "On Sunday, I only had 10 pints." And Bill's gone, 10 pints? 10 pints? I couldn't drink 10 pints in a week. I think that's the story you mean, isn't it? That's the one you mean.
Yeah, I remember looking at you thinking, as I remembered, it was like, how many you had? And I can remember he's going through your brain thinking, how many shall I say here? I've got to be realistic, but I can't go over the top. I can't say about 20 pints. It's like, I'll go with 10. 10 pints.
It's like when the doctor asks you how much you drink a week.
Yeah.
How many drinks you have a week?
I mean, I have to mention Billy, because I love Billy, and I did some stuff a while ago on West Ham and looking at win percentages, and it was quite interesting at West Ham because I think they've only had I can't remember, 10 managers since 1900. And
I've seen that, Trev. He's up there with everybody, isn't he?
He's the top. He's got the top win percentage of any West Ham managers ever. And David Moyes has got the lowest win percentage. But
wait, West Ham have only had 10 managers since 1900?
Maybe 13. In the first 60 years, they had 4 managers.
Yeah.
And then Ron Greenwood, it was like crazy, and all were English managers as well, I think.
That's
till
crazy.
Lou, but
yeah,
it's crazy. But what I was going to say was, I mean, Bill, he was so basic. It was like, when we got them tennis shoes when we arrived, we had to jog in tennis shoes, them green flats.
Dunlop green flats.
Dunlop, yeah. But my favourite, I got 2 stories of Bill. One of them is that I remember that when you mentioned Charlie in the car park, and Charlie was an old guy.
That wasn't Frank McAvenny, by the way. Charlie in the car park.
Charlie was an old guy, brilliant guy, great character. He said he fought in the war, whatever, but he was in charge of the car park at the training ground as well. And we had this guy come in, and he had this van, and it was called Bubbles, and he used to wash the cars. And I always remember this, and he used to take, I don't know, £5, £10 to wash the car and wash the players' cars. Everything was great. And then this one particular day, Charlie said to this guy, "You bet, can you wash the manager's car?" I don't remember. Bill got a big blue BMW.
Didn't like it. He didn't like all that flash stuff.
So Charlie said, "You better wash the manager's car." I went, "Why?" He said, "Because you're getting all this business here, the manager." So he washed Billy's car. It was pristine. And the story is, Charlie said that when Bill come out and saw his car was so clean, he was so angry, and he made Charlie get a sponge and some dirty water and go over the car to make it dirty.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
That's weird.
Another one was when we used to meet at Wickham sometimes. We used to pick up Harry at Wickham. And Harry's got on the bus and he sat with Bill, and the bus got away after about 10 minutes. And Harry's gone, "Oh, shit," he went, "I forgot to put the ticket on my windscreen." And Bill's going, "What do you mean, Harry? What do you mean, Harry?" He went, "It's paying display. You get a ticket." He said, "What?" Harry said, "Just tell him you put the ticket on the windscreen." He said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, just tell him it blew away." And Harry was like, "No, you put it on the inside of the windscreen, Bill." Well, as much as we love Bill,
the aircon was on full blast.
That's quality.